You're standing on a sidewalk holding your phone. Across the street, two officers have a man against the hood of a car. Something about it doesn't look right, so you do what millions of people do every day in this country. You hold your phone up and you record. You're not shouting. You're not close. You're standing on a public sidewalk 30 feet away, filming in silence. And then one of the officers looks over, walks straight toward you and says, "Put that away. You can't film this." You keep recording because you're pretty sure you can. And in the next 10 seconds, that officer says 5 words that will cost him his career and hands you one of the clearest examples of exactly what your rights look like when they're being violated in real time. You're under arrest, obstruction, hands behind your back, cuffs on, phone seized, and the charge, obstruction of justice for standing silently on a public sidewalk with a phone. That body cam footage went viral, and the reason millions of people watched it isn't because it was dramatic. It's because every single one of them thought the same thing. Could that happen to me? The answer is yes. It can. It has. But here is what that officer was counting on you not knowing. That arrest was not lawful. That charge was invented. And there is a single calm sentence you can say in that moment that forces the entire encounter onto the record in a way that protects you, not on the sidewalk, but afterwards, where it actually counts. Stay with me because I'll give you that sentence word for word in just a minute. But first, I need you to understand the law underneath it, because the sentence only works if you know why it works. I'm James Calloway. I spent 12 years as a criminal defense attorney across 3 states, and I have watched officers charge people with obstruction, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest for doing nothing more than holding up a phone. Every single one of those charges was dropped or thrown out. But by then, the person had spent a night in a cell, paid for a lawyer, and had an arrest on their record for exercising a constitutional right. This isn't legal advice. It's the plain English version of what every person with a phone camera needs to understand. And let me be clear, most officers will not do what the one in that video did. Most will see you recording and carry on because they know the law. I'm here for the one who doesn't, so that when you meet him, you're not the person who folds. So here is the law, and it is not ambiguous. You have a First Amendment right to record police officers performing their duties in public spaces. This is not an opinion. It is settled constitutional law. Federal appeals courts across the country have affirmed it. The reasoning is straightforward. Police are public officials carrying out public duties in public places, paid for with public money. The public has a right to see what they do. A phone camera is simply the modern version of that right. An officer who tells you to stop recording is telling you to stop exercising a constitutional right. And an officer who arrests you for it is arresting you for the Constitution. Now, let me show you exactly how these encounters go wrong, because they follow a pattern, and if you know the pattern, you can see every move before it lands. The first tactic is the direct order. Turn that off, or put the phone away. You can't record here. Said with authority, said like it's a rule. And here is the truth underneath it. There is no law in any state in this country that prohibits you from recording a police officer in a public place. None. That order is not backed by a statute. It is backed by a uniform and the hope that you don't know the difference. The second tactic is the reframe, and it's the one that showed up on that body cam. You're obstructing, or you're interfering with an investigation. Obstruction requires you to actually obstruct something, to physically block an officer, to hide evidence, to actively prevent them from doing their job. Standing on a sidewalk with a phone is not obstruction. Filming in silence from a reasonable distance is not interference. Courts have said this repeatedly, but the word obstruction sounds legal enough to make you think you've broken a law. You haven't. The third tactic is the manufactured escalation. The officer tells you to move. You move. He tells you to move again. You move again. And then he says you're not complying, or he claims you were too close. The goal is to generate a justification after the fact, to create on camera a sequence that looks like you were being difficult when you were doing nothing but standing still. And here is the one that catches people who think they know their rights. The casual confiscation. I need to take the phone as evidence. Unless you have been lawfully arrested, an officer cannot simply take your phone from your hand. Your phone is protected. Taking it requires your consent, a warrant, or a lawful arrest. A request to hand it over on a public sidewalk is exactly that, a request. So here is the sentence. This is what you say the moment an officer approaches you about your recording, and you say it calmly, clearly, and without a single raised word. Officer, I'm not interfering. I'm recording from a public space, which is my First Amendment right. I don't consent to stopping, and I don't consent to handing over my phone. Am I being detained? Let me show you what each piece does, because every word is pulling weight. I'm not interfering preempts the obstruction claim. You've named the accusation before they can make it, and you've denied it on the record. I'm recording from a public space, which is my First Amendment right. Puts the constitutional basis into the encounter calmly and clearly. You haven't quoted a case. You haven't been aggressive. You've simply stated the legal reality. I don't consent to stopping, and I don't consent to handing over my phone. Closes both doors. If they take the phone or force you to stop, it is now on their camera that you did not agree to it. That matters enormously later. And am I being detained? Forces the whole thing into the open. Either they are detaining you, which requires reasonable suspicion of an actual crime, or you are free to continue standing exactly where you are, doing exactly what you were doing. Let me make this real. 2 people, same intersection, same evening, same officer. The first, a man named Marcus, is recording from the sidewalk. The officer walks over. Hey, put that away. You can't film here. Marcus panics. He lowers the phone. Sorry, I didn't know. The officer takes his name, runs his ID, tells him to move along. Marcus leaves shaken, believing he almost committed a crime. He didn't. He was exercising a right and gave it away because a firm voice told him to. Now the second person, same corner. She's recording. Same officer, same line. Put that away. And she says evenly, I'm not interfering, officer. I'm recording from a public space. It's my First Amendment right. Am I being detained? The officer pauses. No, just stay back. I'm happy to. And she keeps recording. Same intersection, same officer. The only difference was a single sentence. Now stay with me, because the officer doesn't always walk away after that. And this is where people crumble, so let me walk you through it. First push. The voice gets firmer. I said turn it off. I'm not going to ask again. This is pressure, not a power. You don't match the energy and you don't fold. You repeat, calmly, I'm not interfering. I'm recording from a public space. Am I being detained or am I free to be here? Same words, same calm tone. Repetition is your shield. Second push. All right, you're obstructing. Step over here. Now he's claiming a power. So you shift from declining to documenting. You say clearly, for the camera still rolling, I don't believe I'm obstructing anything. I'm on a public sidewalk. I don't consent to being detained, but I won't resist. That sentence is everything. You've challenged the basis, preserved your rights, and made it clear you won't physically fight. Because here is the rule I need you to hold on to. You never physically resist. If they put cuffs on you, you let them. If they take the phone, you let them. You do not pull away, you do not grab, you do not run. You comply with your body, and you protect yourself with your words. The place you win a wrongful arrest is not on the sidewalk. It is afterwards, in the complaint, in the lawyer's office, in front of the footage, that shows a calm person being arrested for doing absolutely nothing illegal. That footage is your weapon, but it only works if you stayed calm enough to create it. Third push, the confiscation. Give me the phone. You say once clearly, I don't consent to handing over my phone, and then if they take it, you let them. You remember the officer's name and badge number. You note the time, and you contact an attorney. A phone seized without a warrant, and without consent, is a phone that was taken unlawfully. That officer will have to answer for it, and knowing exactly where that line sits, when to speak, when to comply, and how to turn a bad encounter into a record that holds someone accountable, is the reason I put together a short, plain English guide to your rights in any encounter with law enforcement. It's called the Know Your Rights Guide, and it lays out calmly and without jargon everything we've covered here, what you can record, when they can take your phone, and the exact words that protect you when a uniform walks toward your camera. I'm not going to give you a hard sell. If this has been useful, the link is in the description whenever you want it. So let me bring it home. You have a constitutional right to record police in public. No state law prohibits it. Standing on a sidewalk with a phone is not obstruction and not a crime. An officer who tells you to stop is issuing an order the law does not support, and the sentence that holds all of it in place is this: I'm not interfering. I'm recording from a public space, which is my First Amendment right. I don't consent to stopping, and I don't consent to handing over my phone. Am I being detained? You never argue. You never resist. You say your sentence, You keep recording, and if they arrest you anyway, you stay calm and you win it later, with the very footage they tried to stop you from making. The people who hold officers accountable are never the ones who shouted. They're the ones who stayed quiet, stayed recording, and knew exactly which words to say. That is what the officer in that viral video didn't expect. And it's what the next one won't expect from you. If this helped you, do two things for me. Send it to one person you care about, because someone you know is going to see something one day that doesn't look right. And the difference between a wrongful arrest and a calm walk home is whether they knew this before they hit record. And subscribe, because every week I break down one more of these moments in plain English, so that when it's you standing there, you already know your rights better than the person trying to take them. I'm James Calloway. Know your rights. The camera only protects you if you do.